Abu Dhabi Dude! Hi there, this is Abu Dhabi Dude! Welcome back to another video. Bit of a change of direction for me this time though, a bit of an unusual one, in that it's not going to be an iPace vlog as such. And I want to do this occasionally. I want to be able to cover the wider world of EVs from time to time. And this particular item, I became aware of about 2 or 3 days ago, and I expected it to get a lot more coverage than it has. I've read one article on it, and it's basically that Tesla within the EU are having their capabilities and potential massively reduced. Well, yeah, massively reduced by the EU government. Now, if this was happening in the States, there would be a massive outcry about it, and I'm very disappointed that there hasn't been here. So more details on that coming up after these messages from our sponsors. Ha! Fooled you. Nah, just kidding. It's not that kind of channel. I dream of having sponsors. But yeah, they have basically, the EU government have told Tesla that they have to apply the following limits to their software, their Autopilot. Now, there may be other ones, but these are the ones I'm aware of. First of all, they have to reduce the maximum angle of steering input that the system can make. So, in other words, limiting how sharp a bend the car can go round. So once this update, downgrade, whatever you want to call it, once this has been implemented, Teslas on Autopilot won't be able to go around bends that are as sharp as the ones that can go around at the moment. Now that's unfortunate. That's a shame, because that limits it. And the second thing, now this is the bit that I didn't think had been enabled in Europe, but it may have been in some countries and not the UK or whatever, but the whole automatic lane changing thing, not allowed. So when you are driving on a motorway and the car detects a car in front, and in America now, with Navigate on Autopilot, the car will just indicate, pull out, pass the car, pull back in again. And we all expected that to come to Europe and the UK and at some point. Not that I'm saying UK is not in Europe, but I know the UK market sometimes is treated differently because it's left-hand drive, because it's right-hand drive. So yeah, the car is not allowed to do that now. So if it's been enabled, they have to roll it back. If it hasn't yet been enabled, they're not allowed to enable it. So basically, now the system is pretty much back to the old system, whereby the car can, I believe, suggest a lane change. You flick the indicator on, and the car has 5 seconds only to commence the lane change maneuver. Otherwise, it has to cancel it. And the whole process starts again from scratch. So you got 5 seconds. So in other words, it's almost a manual maneuver. You can't really put the indicator on until it's already safe. You know, you can't, like at the moment with the new system in the States, which I think is brilliant, and I've not seen any cases of it failing. There's been many Autopilot failures, but that hasn't been one that I've been aware of, certainly. And with the coverage that Autopilot gets, you'd think you'd be aware of it. But now, because you've only got 5 seconds, you really have to check your mirror first. I mean, you should be doing that anyway, but what I mean is, check your mirror first. If there's anything there, don't bother. Wait till it's passed, wait till it's clear, and there's nothing else there. And then you tap the indicator, which, you know, I liked the auto lane change feature. I really did. I thought it was a great system, and it was one of the things that gave Tesla its advantage. Yeah, nice one, love. It's one of the things that gave Tesla a bit of an advantage, you know. And I think that might be something to do with why they've limited it. But they have. So now Tesla's Autopilot basically becomes no different to every other manufacturer's suite of adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, really. Now, I know it will do a lane change if you manually make it, but that's no more effort than just changing lanes in this car. You know, I find that I nudge the indicator stalk, and it kind of, in the process of nudging the indicator, it automatically... Sorry, that's my car saying something that wasn't there. In the process of nudging the indicator stalk, you kind of automatically nudge the steering wheel as well, in a way, or subconsciously, not automatically. So you start drifting into that lane anyway, and then once it gets into the lane, it picks up the markings and continues anyway. It's really not that different. So now there's a slight cynic in me that wonders if maybe that's why they've done it, because now Model 3's out in Europe, it's wiping the floor. You know, the Model 3 sales have been off the charts in the countries where it's been introduced. I don't think that's going to be the case with Britain, but that's a whole different video, and probably one I'm not going to make, but I don't think it will be the same in the UK. However, it's still going to be a hugely popular car, no doubt. I just don't think it's going to wipe the floor with the opposition because of pricing, and that's all. Like I say, I don't want to get into that, but you know, Audi, Mercedes, Jaguar obviously, and VW as well coming up, are all releasing electric vehicles now, and they can't come close to what Autopilot can do. Let's face it, that Navigate on Autopilot is streets ahead of what anyone else is doing. Maybe GM Super Cruise is close to it in functionality, but it's only available in America, and it was only available on one car, and it sold about 2,000 last year in the whole of America. It was, you know, hardly a rampant success. So it kind of feels to me a bit like almost Tesla's being hampered to take away the advantage that they've built up over the mainstream opposition. And I hope I'm being alarmist in saying that, and I hope it's not true, but I kind of feel like that's kind of how it's going to come across to a lot of people, whether it's true or not. And I just think it's a shame. It's a lost opportunity, you know. Now, you can argue that Tesla's pushing out updates, you know, and things that are beyond what's been agreed, etc. But everybody surely now accepts that the world is at least trying to move towards an autonomous future, where cars can drive themselves. We may never get there. Let's, you know, cards on the table, we may never get there. But we should be at least trying, should we not? And the thing with that is, it's never going to be a case of, we're never going to wake up in the morning and suddenly there's a new car on the market that does everything. It's going to be slow, incremental steps. It's going to be the way Tesla is rolling out Autopilot updates. That's how it's going to be. Now, I don't know if there's some kind of regulatory approval step that's been missed, and that's why this has happened. You know, it may be as simple as that, but surely they have to accept that if we're going to get to the point of having autonomous vehicles, we have to first get to the point of having semi-autonomous vehicles. We have to. Because nobody is going to accept the research of suddenly going autonomous. You know, nobody's going to accept that that is a safe option. Everybody is going to want to see empirical data, which means we have to have them in semi-autonomous mode, being monitored by people. to gather the data to prove that it's safe, to then get rid of the steering wheel, which is where they want to go. I don't necessarily want to get rid of steering wheels, but I do foresee many situations where I would like to just sit back, take my hands off the wheel and let the car drive me to where I'm going. If I'm sitting for 200 miles of motorway driving, that's not fun. That's boring. I want the car to do that, and I can play on my phone. That's what I want. So yeah, it's an odd decision, and it's also doubly odd because they're penalising them because they've got an over-the-air update system. For example, if Mercedes produced a car that put in too high a steering angle input in the cruise steer system, or the lane keep assist system, or whatever Mercedes calls it, you know, if they did that, the EU couldn't force them to roll it back by software over the air updates or down dates. You know, they just couldn't. So why is, you know, it's almost the fact that they're using one of Tesla's advantages to kill off one of its other advantages. But yeah, I mean, if it was Mercedes, what would they do? A recall? Maybe a product recall would be insisted on, but that's not really a solution, because, you know, once you know what the recall's for, you're probably not going to take your car in, are you? I wouldn't. But with Tesla, they'll package it in an over-the-air update, and the only way to not get it is to reject the update. And if you reject the update, you're rejecting all the other stuff that goes along with the updates. You can't skip that update, so you either accept that you never take another update again, or you accept the update and lose functionality. It just seems, I don't know, it just seems like they're hampering Tesla, and they're doing it in a way that if it was any other manufacturer, they couldn't do it, you know? Now, I am no Tesla fanboy. I love what they've done, and I love that they've introduced electric vehicles to the mainstream, and I love that they've forced the manufacturer's hands. You know, there would be no iPace without Tesla. But I'm not a Tesla fanboy. I don't love their cars to the exclusion of all others. I mean, I bought an iPace, so obviously I don't. Excuse me. But I just feel that on this, I feel that the EU are being unfair. I feel they're penalising Tesla. I mean, I obviously don't know all the behind closed doors discussions that went on to generate this decision, but it just feels a bit unfair. I think the Autopilot system has huge flaws, but it's not the things that they've forced them to change. I think their huge flaws are the things, you know, are other things. You know, the things where they're letting it operate. Motorways, you know, the crashing into concrete barriers is a fairly big failing. This doesn't fix that. You know, I mean, I guess one of the things it does is reduce its usefulness around town with the steering input, and I think that's the idea. I mean, having watched, there's a guy called Tesla Driver, or his channel's called Tesla Driver, should I say, on YouTube, who does a lot of videos of his Tesla on autopilot around UK towns and cities. And the thing I've noticed is it's rubbish. It's absolutely useless. This whole, you know, all these videos that you see in America, it doesn't work in the UK, of the car driving itself for hours on end, coping through towns and what have you. It doesn't in the UK, it just doesn't. So I can understand them wanting to limit its use around town, because it is actually potentially quite dangerous. If you get, not Tesla Driver, he is very, very meticulous. He monitors the car very carefully, and he doesn't use autopilot in situations where it will inconvenience other drivers. He does it when it's safe to do so. But a lot of people aren't that bright or considerate. And they will stick autopilot on and almost crash into cars left, right and centre, you know. And I guess that's what the steering input angle thing is about, is an attempt to reduce its usefulness and the ability to use it around town. Do I agree with it? Certainly in Europe I do, because autopilot should not be used around town in Europe. It's just not up to the job as far as I'm concerned. Adaptive cruise control, fine, but not really not autopilot, not extensively. However, there are probably good open roads where it could be used, and it's now not able to be used because of that. You know, some sweeping bends that it could cope with before, it won't be able to cope with now. And why? Really, why? You know, I mean, I can't imagine that. Well, again, it would have been all over the news if there were thousands of Teslas being crashed in towns and cities because they were on autopilot and it couldn't do it. So it's, I don't know, it just feels like it's limiting the capabilities of the technology for no really good reason. And I really specifically think the lane changes, you know, they seem to be very safe. They seem to be well done, well executed, and it takes all the grind out of motorway driving, and that's where we have to start. If we're going to go autonomous, that's where we have to start. So yeah, I mean, you know, it just brings it back down into the realms now where that was one of the reasons I would have considered a Tesla over the iPace, was autopilot. But now, I don't think I would, because it's just not good enough. And it's not that the system isn't good enough, it's that the regulators aren't letting it be good enough. And that's... Oh, dead birdie. A seagull. Oh, bless. Anyway, yeah, it's just not good enough now. The fact that it can change lanes with a tap on the indicator isn't enough for me to want to have one. Because like I say, it's no big deal to do it in this. So really, now Tesla Autopilot in Europe is no better than, in my opinion, it's slightly better, but it's not enough better. And because they forced them to do this, you know that now this is kind of as good as it gets for autopilot. It's not going to be allowed to develop any further, and that's sad. That is genuinely sad. So yeah, I think it's a real shame, and it hampers the development of autonomy that really Europe should be at the forefront of. And now, well, I guess it's an American manufacturer, but nonetheless, this has to apply equally to every other manufacturer. So how do we move on from that? How do we move on? And of course, the UK is still in Europe, still in the EU, should I say. We'll always be in Europe. Europe's a continent, but we may not be in the EU in future. Probably not. And now, so we will adopt this. We have to adopt this. Will we get rid of it when we leave the EU? Probably not, because we've already hinted quite strongly that when it comes to vehicles, we will fall into line with whatever the EU mandates, because it's easier. There's no sense in having vehicles built differently for UK. I mean, they already have the steering wheel on the other side, but the actual standard of the vehicle is the same. And yeah, I think that it's something that if Europe doesn't move, then the UK won't move on it either, whether we're in or out of the EU. So that means that Tesla's, you know, Tesla in America and other parts of the world is going to fly away in terms of what they can offer. And here in Europe, we're going to have adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. So tell me, what do you think about it all? Do you think that this is some kind of conspiracy? I'm not saying it is, but I can see how people would think that it is. And I'm kind of almost leaning that way myself at times. I don't think it's a big enough safety concern. What they've addressed, I haven't seen enough safety issues raised about it to justify it. So it feels more political in a way. Anyway, sorry, I'm leading the question. So what do you think? Do you think it's a politically driven decision? Or do you think it's just about safety? Or do you think it's about Tesla updating its software without going through the correct regulatory processes? Or what do you think? Do you think it makes a big difference? Do you think it's all a storm in a teacup? Do you think it'll affect their sales of the full self-driving package? Because you have to ask, why would you pay thousands of pounds extra for full self-driving when Autopilot's not even allowed to lane change on a motorway for you? How far away from having full self-driving in Europe then? So do you think that will be a case? Do you think it will have an impact on sales of the full self-driving package? Do you think it will have an impact on Tesla's sales generally? Do you think... What do you think? Just tell me what you think. I'll try and answer every comment that's made in so much as possible. If I don't answer, I probably haven't seen it, because YouTube's not great at notifying you of new messages. It's a bit flaky. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Any and all comments welcome. I'll regret saying that probably. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, then do please give it a thumbs up. That's always helpful. I do like to see those likes rolling in. It's nice to know that people are enjoying it. And if you want to be kept up to date with the channel's videos, then please do subscribe. Click on the subscribe button down there. And if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, then after you've clicked on the subscribe button, click on the little bell icon next to it, and that means you will then get a notification every time I upload a new video. I do hope you've enjoyed watching. I do hope you've found something of interest, and I do hope that in some small way this helps to get the news out there that this has happened, because I think it's big and I'm surprised that nobody else seems to. So yeah, that's all for this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking it through to this point, which you obviously have because you're watching this point. And until next time, this is Abu Dhabi Dude saying so long, take care, see you soon, bye. Abu Dhabi Dude.